Right. My name is Wes Bellamy. This is my brother, Rashad Robinson. We got nothing but good brothers all out here.
That's right.
From a ton of different organizations and whatnot. So just really briefly, we'll go over everything. I trust that you've seen the run of the show. If we can, let's make sure that we keep our comments and our remarks to somewhere around 2 minutes. I know some of y'all Qs and alphas and one of them, they go 2 plus 8. We know y'all math. The Kappas are going to keep ours at 2 minutes as we follow instructions. That's what we do. But in all seriousness, though, so if we can, let's keep our remarks around 2 minutes. And obviously, hit on the importance of voting rights and the importance of brothers speaking up, stepping up. So we shouldn't be here much longer than an hour. If we can, brothers, while those who are not speaking, you can hold the signs, stand in support. This isn't a quote-unquote rally, which is why we don't have 1,000 people or all of our organizations here, and also why we sent the notice out when we did, because we want to make sure that we're focusing on serving our efforts. Once we finish this, we'll march down to the Hart Building. I know last week, shout out our dear sister Latasha, there she is, and Sister Brown. And Melanie, Or in any event, I know last week we went inside. We may or may not be going inside. So if we can go inside, similar to what we did last week, we'll say our piece and whatnot. They'll give us 3 warnings to come and ask. The 9 of us that we are designated will be going and getting arrested. That'll be very brief. We have our legal observers here. You'll go in, you'll be put in the zip ties, they'll walk you through the back, put you in the wagon, it's a little bit blocked around, and we'll be all ready to stay. In the event that we cannot go into the building for whatever reason, we'll do our demonstration outside, we'll say our piece, say our chant, say our march, and then we're likely to have a table or something set up for us. The Hart Building, for those who don't know, is literally a block away. It's right up the street. So once we finish, we'll walk over there. And again, obviously, everything that we want to do is as simple as obedience, but we're going to be peaceful. Importantly, most importantly, show that brothers on the car about that we support you as well. So, questions, concerns before we get started? We're going to give just probably about 5 more minutes or so for a few more members of the press to come up. As signs for anyone, and we'll get started. Anything anybody like to add?
Yeah, I know Representative Green. Thank you all for showing us really mean the world. Y'all please give it up for our representatives. We talk about elected officials and what they not doing and right? And so for them to be here in solidarity with us on this issue means the world to us. Thank you all. And we'll talk because part of the issue that Wes was talking about. But again, y'all, we want this to be. I mean, this means a lot, right? When the world sees us speaking out, when the world sees brothers coming together, and we want to recognize the sisters, right? Because they said it off last week, right? Our leader, CBC leader, Representative Beatty, said it off last week. So we want to show our respect that we're here in support of them, but we need to send a statement from brothers today, right? And so that's why we're excited to have you all out here. We want to be high energy. We want to keep our remarks short, but our spirits high. We're going to be doing our chants and all that, and just letting the world know that we got something to say, right? So we're excited to be here. We're going to get started in just a couple of minutes. We're going to give out these signs, and then we're going to get it started. That sound all right with everybody? That sound all right with everybody? All right.
I think we're good. I just want to So we sit. Did you meet the 9?
I have not bothered.
I'm the go-to guy.
There were two last year. Not the third time. Yeah, they that was when
Brothers, if you need to use the restroom or anything, we will have access to the Methodist building right across Brother Christian. We'll see Brother Christian if you need to use the restroom, and we'll get started.
I don't understand.
They came online in 85. Brandon came back in like over there, like it came out the way. I was like, hold you to You go ready?
Okay, come on. All right. Can I get?
Hey, bro.
Can I get those? Brothers, real quick. Can I get those who have been designated, including our members, those who have been designated for the civil disobedience part? If y'all could just join me over here. If y'all could just, those who, you know who you are, it's not everybody, but those who have been designated for the civil disobedience part, if you could just join me over here.
All y'all ain't going to the gym.
That's right.
It's not in my plan, bro, Rod. You put it there. It's not in my plan. You put it there.
All right. Who's in charge?
That won't do. That won't bring us all the way.
Thank y'all for coming out. It's always good. The sister showed up last week. I ain't gonna lie. They ain't really have a lot of sororities. I was like, man,
What's going on? What's going on? Good, man. Good.
yeah, bro, I was just letting them know. That's all. I was letting them know. What's up, y'all? How you doing?
Good to see you, man.
Everything okay?
Yeah, man. How you doing, my brother? Yeah, I do goodness. How you doing? No, there was supervisor. We are right there. You know how these birds are, right? I saw you walking along. Yeah, okay. He's on the alpha. He's on the alpha. Okay. Let's get a picture of it. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Good move. Gotcha. Okay. Okay. That'll work. No, I got you.
Stay ready. Stay ready.
All right, bro.
Stay close by. Stay close by. Y'all ready?
I'm Natasha.
Yeah, what have you been doing?
Thank you. Latasha Brown. L-A-T-O-S-H-A Brown. 776. 776. Well, I'm like 5 or 7. Yep. Oh, one of these, it doesn't matter what's my
A quarter.
Oh, wonderful.
Can we do a selfie and both sides?
Let's do a selfie. Yes. Can you take a picture? Yeah, okay.
Because ain't no change in that.
We're doing it. Everybody, we got to do
I know you do that.
I already told her.
Let's do our picture action.
Okay, yes, let me go.
Okay, well, we had all the wrong choices. We can sit down. So let me do this. I'll put you right over.
You got this? Okay. Y'all looking good, bro.
All right, brothers, we're going to get started here in just a second.
He trying to get in. He got to get in. Absolutely. Smart. I like that.
I'm so sorry. It's like a maze.
Let him talk. Let him do his thing. Let him do his thing. All right, brothers, we're going to go ahead and get started. If we get all the brothers, speakers,
You were
and
Roland.
non-speakers.
Yes, sir. Tell him Al Green said hello, okay? I love to do his program. Tell him
On
I'll
and
do
we
it.
can gather around. Brothers,
Okay.
please. Grab a sign, grab a sign.
It's on YouTube. I mean, all right.
We get all the brothers participating, speakers and non-speakers, and our sisters that are here supporting. Get everybody behind us. Greetings, greetings, greetings. My name is Cliff Albright, co-founder, executive director of Black Voters Matter. We are here on the Brothers Days of Action in order to speak out about voting rights. We got a lot that we're going to talk about today, a lot we're going to do today. But before we do anything, we're going to start the way that we always start. I'm going to turn it over to Representative Emmanuel Cleaver, who's going to lead us in a word of prayer.
Heavenly God, we dare not, we will not move from this place without first giving you all of the praise, all the glory, all of the honor. We thank you because we worship a God of justice. We thank you, O God, that when we roll down through the tunnel of your sacred word, it is the history of struggle. It is a history of the pursuit of that which is right and just in your sight. We, O God, ask that you anoint each one of these brothers, that we might be able to not only stand up, but we will be locked up in a way to demonstrate how just this cause is to this country. Bless us, keep us. And, oh God, if there is anyone around us who is not here for this cause, identify him to us. Amen.
All right. So as I said, we are here on this Brothers Day of Action in order to make our voices heard on the issue of voting rights. We all know the situation. we all know what it is that we're facing. We know that we've seen the largest attack on voting rights in this country ever since, not since the 50s, not since the 60s, but since the Civil War and Reconstruction. It's been that long since we've seen this level of attack against our voting rights. We got people who are trying to turn the clock back. And that's why we say, and we don't mean it, it's not hyperbole, it's not exaggeration. When we say that we're looking at Jim Crow 2.0, we mean that.
Yeah.
But also what we mean is when we say we're not going back, we mean that too.
That's right.
Right? And so I'm not going to take up a lot of time because we got a lot of strong brothers out here. And we want to thank our sisters that kicked this off last week. We want to give it up for sisters like Melanie Campbell, right, from the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation. Sisters like my dear friend, Sister Conrad and Warrior Latasha Brown.
That's right.
Sisters like the CBC chair, Beatty, who came out last week and got arrested, a member of Congress getting arrested because it's not just enough that they have legislated for our voting rights. It's not just enough that they've voted for our voting rights, but they are out here fighting and advocating for our voting rights. So we want to give it up to the sisters that led the way last week. But we're here to say, brothers got something to say. And we're here to say that brothers are out here supporting sisters and brothers out here taking action for our voting rights. Because there might come a day, y'all, where brothers don't step up and stand up for our voting and our civil and our human rights. That day may come, but guess what? Today is not that day. There may be a day where we have elected officials who just stand to the side and they don't come here and lock arms with us and walk with us. That day may come when we have elected officials that don't really represent the people. But guess what? Today is not that day. There may come a day where we let them take us back and we don't put up any kind of a fight and we don't say any kind of a word and we let one or two senators or whatever it is, whatever caucus stand in the way of our human rights. That day may come, but guess what? Today is not that day. And so we are here to say brothers are taking action. And so we are here to say that we want our voting rights now, not later on, not next year, not next month. We want our voting rights now.
Yes, sir.
We are all out here as organizers. We are all out here as human beings. We are all out here as people that are demanding what we deserve and what we've been fighting for ever since we set foot on the shores of this country. And so I'm so glad to be able to turn it over. I'm going to turn it over to this brother. Let me say this. When I put the call out, a lot of brothers responded. But I'm going to say this. Before I even got the call out, this brother was already tweeting about it and trying to organize some other folks to get out here. So I'm going to turn it over to my dear friend and brother, Wes Bowman.
Let's give it up for Brother Cliff Albright, co-founder and executive director for Black Voters Matter. Let's give him a round of applause, please. Outstanding work. My name is Dr. Wes Bellamy. I currently serve as the national co-chairman of Our Black Party, and I'm the former vice mayor of Charlottesville, Virginia. I'll just say, as a former elected official, when I looked and while I was serving as vice mayor in Charlottesville, I'll never forget August 12, 2017. It was a day in which we saw white supremacists come down on my city, try to make their point known, and they were very candid and clear in which they were there to take back what was theirs. And I always think about following up that event, what transpired right here just a couple of blocks up on January 6th, where you had a group of individuals, insurrectionists, people who proclaimed to be patriots, individuals who thought that they were fighting for what was theirs and taking back what was theirs. Yes, and then following that up, we have individuals in the legislature who are very bold and candid in their deliberate actions to take away voting rights because they believe inalienably that those responsibilities and those voting rights are for them and not us. Right. But as Brother Cliff said, not today. Not today. Brothers will step up, not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, but today. And today, we are making our voices heard. Now, last week, as Brother Albright said, it was very clear where the sisters stood. Yeah. Right over in that building, we had a multitude of people, black women, from a wide variety of different organizations, from affiliations, from you name it, all across the country, serving and standing about how it was not only their time to lead, but they were going to do what they always do as black women, stand up and speak up for us. We didn't have a lot of brothers there that day, but today you see who's standing behind us. And on this day today, it won't just be the sisters who are speaking up. It won't just be the sisters who are taking the arrows, if you will, but the brothers have something to say, as Brother Albright said. Today, our brothers are making a very bold proclamation, as we often do, and it may not be seen often. It may not be seen on the national headway or headlines. It may not always be in the media. But brothers do stand up. Brothers do speak up. Brothers do have each other's back.
That's right.
And when we see someone like the Honorable Sheila Jackson Lee
That's right.
fighting and sacrificing for us,
right.
we say that we got her back. But more importantly, for the young men, my mentees, our sons, our grandchildren, our nephews, our individuals who are in college, Dante, Daquan, Darius, Romello, Wesley, and everyone else. We say, little brother, we got your back. We got your back. Your voting rights are important to us. Your existence as a human being is important to us. And we are going to do any and everything that we can to ensure that you are not only represented, but you are protected and you are respected. So I'll say this in closing as I turn it back over to Brother Albright. Regardless of what individuals may think about black men, what you see today, alphas, kappas, omegas, 100 black men, civic organizations, light-skinned, dark-skinned, tall, short, big, small. We got something to say. We're going to stand up, and we're going to demand to get what is ours. Come hell or high water. We're willing to go through the clean mud, the muddy mud, the clean water, the dirty water, whatever it takes for us to get what we deserve, we're going to get it. Young or old, big or tall, short or fall. Those voting rights, they're going to be ours. Let's go, brothers. Let's go fight.
All right. Y'all give it up again for my brother Wes Bellamy. We're going to keep this moving. You know, we got folks here from different states. And one of the states y'all may have heard that there's a state called Texas. They say they do everything they do in Texas, they do it bigger in Texas, right? And so, you know, some folks in Texas, some representatives decided a week and a half ago that they weren't just going to stand still in the face of the voter suppression that they were trying to pass in that state, and they decided that they were going to leave, that they were going to break quorum, that they were going to come here, not to vacation, not to go look at the monuments, but to come here and work, and to come here and push our cause. And so I'm so pleased and honored to have some of them here today. I'm going to turn it over to Representative Reynolds, who's the Vice President of the Black Caucus, the Texas Legislative Black Caucus.
Come on, brother.
Thank you, Cliff, and Black Voters Matter. It is my pleasure and privilege to stand here behind some powerful black men and some sisters. Thank you, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee and others. Last week, as was stated, I was proud to be there with our sisters in solidarity at the United Methodist Building, and the sisters have been phenomenal. But you know what? I was disappointed because I hadn't heard as much as I want to hear from the brothers. But guess what? We responded to that call of action, and here we are. We're saying not on our watch will we allow this United States government and Republican leadership to turn us back to dark days in our country. You know, there was a time in this country where voter suppression was the norm. Jim Crow was the norm. And we have standing on the shoulders of those who paved the way so that we didn't have that, so that black folks could vote freely, right? Without poll taxes and literacy tests and barriers. And here we are in 2021, having to relitigate, having to revisit a pivotal moment in our country when the Voting Rights Act of 1965 was signed into law. Here we are having to revisit the fact that black folks are a part of this country. You know, we are here standing on the shoulders of people like John Lewis, who made good trouble. And it wasn't just him and Dr. Martin Luther King and A. Philip Randolph and Medgar Evers and W.B.E. Du Bois, Frederick Douglass. I could go on and on and on, but we have some strong brothers that have stood the test of time. And here we are, speaking truth to power. Here we are, living up to the scripture found in Proverbs 31:8-9 that says to speak out for the one who cannot speak, for the rights of those who are doomed. Speak out, judge fairly, and defend the rights of oppressed and needy people. And I will submit to you in my closing remarks that Dr. King said it best, that the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands during times of comfort and convenience, but during times of challenge and controversy. And we're in those times in the United States where you have Republicans, and I'm just being real, it is Republicans in Texas that are living out the big lie. They're perpetuating the big lie of voter fraud, and the election was stolen because people were voting illegally. But that wasn't the case. It was the case that there was a record turnout. Many folks, black and brown, and people of all over came out and duly elected Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. And here we are saying, not on our watch will you allow us to roll the clock back. And so we're taking a stand from Texas to Georgia to Arizona to Florida to New Mexico to all over the United States of America, demanding that they end the filibuster, as Whip Clyburn said, carve it out for reconciliation so that they can pass H.R. 1, the For the People Act. Right, and we want to have them pass H.R. 4, the John Lewis Voting Advancement Act. That is what we're demanding today. Frederick Douglass said it. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has and it never will. And we demand the full voting rights for Americans. Thank you. And remember that voting, if we allow this to happen in our country, so goes America, because voting is the bedrock of our democracy. It is what makes America America. It is more American than apple pie and baseball. Voting is the foundation of this country. So we will not go back. And thank you, brothers. United we stand, divided we fall. God bless you.
All right. Give it up. All right, we're going to keep the Texas theme going. We're going to turn it over to another representative from the State House in Texas, Representative Jarvis Johnson. Then we're going to hear from our two U.S. Congress folks that are here from Texas. And so I turn it over to, let me tell you, this brother gave us a story last night that moved me to tears. I'm not ashamed to say it. And so I hope he shares some of those words today. But whatever he shares, I know is going to be powerful. My brother, Representative Jarvis Johnson.
All right. Yeah. Let me thank Brother Cliff, and certainly hard to follow up State Representative Reverend Ron Reynolds, Reverend without a church, but it's going to be coming soon. I stand before you today. I'm Jarvis Johnson, State Representative District 139. I stand before you today as an unapologetic black man, and an American.
That's right.
The fact that when black men in America decide to use their civil liberties by using the freedom that we have to protest peacefully, we're called un-American. When Colin Kaepernick took a knee, he was the most un-American person in this entire country. But when the insurrectionists defecated on the nation's capital, they were called patriots. Well, we got to change that narrative. We as black men are standing before you unapologetic, but we're demanding our place in this country.
That's right.
We left from Texas because of hateful, harmful, divisive legislation that wanted to take away simply our ability to vote. And if you don't have an ability to vote, you don't have the opportunity to have representation that looks like you. And that's called taxation without representation. And we won't be taxed any longer. The governor said that he was going to send out a clarion call to pick us up, corral us, and take us back to the Capitol like animals. I'm not your animal. I'm a free man in America, and I demand my freedom. That's right. But the fact that I have to be concerned with what the governor said, because there's so many people that hang on words of a governor and a Donald Trump, because the Republican Party is no longer a Republican Party, it's the party of Trump. And you have Abbott who wants to be just like Trump. And he said that he was going to corral us. My son drives my car, and I have state plates on my car. And the fact that I'm concerned that in America in 2021 that I told my son, you can't go out, you can't go to work, because he carries my name and he drives my car with state plates. Because there's some individual that may be out there that may decide, I heard the governor said that you need to be brought to justice and try to take my son. And we know in America, black men and cops don't mix too well. And so I'm concerned for my son in 2021. And I say to all of my colleagues, it must be great to wake up every single day and not have to worry about being killed. It must be great to not have to worry about just living, just simply voting. And that's where we are here today. As a Texas Republican, a black Republican, a part of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus, we broke quorum to stop that hateful, harmful legislation, and we're going to break quorum again until the governor quits, because there's no quitting in us. Because I stand on the shoulders of giants. I stand on the shoulders of those that came before me that died simply for the right to vote. And I will not stand by and allow any administration to take away my ability to vote. And we stand strong and we stand in unity. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to turn this over to first Representative Al Green, and then we'll turn it over to the incredible, we're so glad she was able to join us today, Representative Sheila Jackson Lee. We may have to slide in there in the interest of And you okay? Okay. He ready to go. Y'all give it up. Representative Al Green from the great state of Texas.
Thank you. Let's just start with this. Reverend Albright is all right. Can we hear it for him, please? All right. And I just want to make the record perspicuously clear. Brother Johnson is not a Republican. No, he's not. Let's hear it for him, please, because he is as Democrat as anybody here. All right, let's get that.
Thank you, Al.
Yeah. It was just a slip. Do you want to come back?
I stand before you as an unapologetic black Democrat in this republic.
Amen to that. Listen, let's get to the root cause of the root cause. The root cause of the root cause has been a weaponized means of politics imposed upon us by a racist president. Donald Trump weaponized racism, bigotry, Islamophobia, homophobia, anti-Semitism, all of the various invidious anti-racist comments you can think of, he is involved with them. Donald Trump caused the insurrection that took place on January 6th.
That's right.
If you don't think that was rooted in racism, you didn't see the rebel flag. If you don't think that was rooted in racism, you didn't see the noose. You didn't see the gallows. If you don't think that was rooted in racism, you didn't hear the comments that were made. This was an insurrection based upon weaponized hate. And we are here today to stand against the hate that's been perpetrated by a racist president who intends to run for office again, but we're going to be there to stop him. He's not coming back on our watch. I am honored to be here with other members of Congress, the Honorable Emanuel Cleaver, whom you've heard. We're also here with the Honorable Hank Johnson, whom you will hear, I'm sure, and the Honorable Sheila Jackson Lee, who is also here as well. My closing comments are these. I was asked to be brief. I promise to be brief. I will be pithy and concise, terse and laconic. Here are my brief comments. This is a day that is a seminal moment in time. This is a day that can impact the rest of time. This is a day for us to take the stand that Dr. King took. Take the stand that Malcolm X took. Take the stand that will let those who look through the vista of time know that when they see this time, there were black men who refused to kneel. Black men who said, we will stand with our women and we will take back all of the rights that you've tried to take. And we're going to claim the future, a future wherein we will have free and fair elections everywhere in this country, and that includes Texas.
That's right. If you don't mind, Congresswoman, in the interest of time, I know Representative Bowman has a hard stop, and so we'll come back to this great state of Texas. But it's my honor to bring up somebody now. I live in Atlanta. I'm based in Atlanta, but I grew up in the Bronx, and so it's my honor to bring up what I'm from now on affectionately calling my congressperson, the place where my family still lives in the great state of New York, in the city of the BX, Representative Jamal Bowman.
Peace and love, everyone. Peace and love, brothers. It's such an honor and privilege to stand here with you today. My name is Jamal Bowman. I represent the 16th District of New York, which covers the Bronx and Westchester County. I'm the first African American to hold this seat in our nation's history. And I say that because now I am a member of Congress. I work in Congress. It's my place of business. And I have to say, being here for 7 months now, it is clear to me that I work in an institution of white supremacy. And when I say I work in an institution of white supremacy, I'm not just talking about the House, I'm talking about the Senate as well. And these are individuals who will not claim outwardly that they are racist. But there is an implicit, unconscious racism and bias that lives in the policy in which we write, we fight for, and that we pass. And it's reflective in our budgets as well. When I look at the money and how it's invested in black and brown communities and black and brown rights and voting rights in historically redlined communities, it's peanuts compared to what we invest in our military industrial complex, our prison industrial complex, and parts of the world that are not black and brown. So as we stand here today as black men fighting for voting rights, we are not just fighting for voting rights, we are fighting to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act as well. But we also need to bring Ayanna Presley's People Justice Guarantee to the floor for a vote. We need to bring HR 40 to the floor for a vote. We need to bring the Breathe Act to the floor for a vote. And the House has done much of its work to pass some of these pieces of legislation. But they sit in the House of the Senate, not moving at all.
That's right.
Why? Because of the racist Jim Crow called the filibuster. And as we come together as black people, black women, black men here today and across the country, we have to demand from the White House, from the House, and from the Senate racial equity and racial justice. It's not just about the president giving a speech on racial equity or writing a press release saying he's for racial equity. It's about your policies. It's about your advocacy. It's about your budget. So we are calling on the president to be a leader for racial justice and equity so that S1 passes the Senate, so that S4 passes the Senate, so that the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act passes the Senate, and so that we can really evolve into the multiracial democracy that we are. And the brothers that we are with today, this is just the start of something special. This is the beginning. We are going to continue to do this here in D.C. and across the country because we need for this institution of white supremacy to hear from us each and every day. And as we do this, other brothers, fathers, uncles, grandfathers, sons, nephews are going to stand up and rise with us across this country.
All right now.
And if you do not happen to be black, but you are an ally and a co-conspirator, come with us.
All right.
That's right.
Follow us as we transform our nation into what we are capable of being. And be our true, beautiful, magnificent, excellent selves. Peace and love to you.
All right. How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling?
Fired up.
Fired up?
Fired up.
All right. I'm going to turn it over. Since the piece of legislation, HR 40's name was in vote.
That's right.
I think it's perfect that we now bring up our leader, our motivation, the incredible Representative Sheila Jackson Lee.
Honored to be able to be yielded to by the giants of our people. Dr. Martin Luther King passed by an older black woman during the Montgomery bus boycott, and she was walking and walking and walking. And he asked her, "Sister, are you tired?" And she said, "My feet is tired, but my soul is rested."
That's right.
When I stand among the giants, historical giants, Rashad, of this nation, black men, my feet are tired, but my soul is rested.
That's right.
I'm honored by my colleagues, Congressman Johnson and Bowman, Carter and Green and Cleaver and others. I'm honored by State Representatives Jarvis Johnson and Ron Reynolds. I'm honored by Brother Allwright. I'm honored by Sister Latasha. I'm honored by Black Voters Matter. I'm honored by the array of sororities and kings and queens and fraternities and 100 black men that I literally grew up on, and elders who are here, and names of brothers like this brother right here who gave me a massive statement. Let me say that before, as we stand on hollow ground, hollow ground because great things did happen in a Supreme Court that understood that it represented the people of this nation, not the vile interests of segregation and viciousness. And when Thurgood Marshall walked up those steps, what preceded him was the blood of our people. The blood on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, the blood of civil rights leaders, yet unknown, buried, didn't know them. Maybe we knew about the Mississippi Boys and others, but there were those who never showed up again. The black men that you see here took the brunt of slavery. They were whipped the most. They fell to the ground the most. Why? Because most of them were in the posture of defending their people, their wife, as they were called, husband and wife, no names, their children. So we have history in this nation. We're not Johnny come lately.
No, that's right.
I stand on the grounds and work in a building built by slaves. Never compensated, never thanked, never honored. I go to the White House, built by slaves. America, you need to know that. And so, as these brothers are here today, I want to come to be able to say, first of all, thank you. Hope that you will join women next week. We are all together.
That's right.
But as I make my remarks, I cannot help but look to a place where people apparently have not walked a mile in our shoes. Why is that? Why is it that we're expected as Americans, a country we love, but we must walk a mile in the shoes of those we do not know? And we must understand them, and we must support, and we rise to the occasion. Color of Change agenda is not a singular agenda. NAACP is not a singular agenda. 100 black men help children of all backgrounds. But yet, no one walks in our shoes.
Talk about it.
So I'm here today to be able to say that in our meeting last night of men and women, Chairman Hakeem Jeffries, the Honorable Hank Johnson, along with Congresswoman Williams and Bush and Sewell and others, and of course the round table, we committed that the agitation is not going to stop. We're going to go day after day after day after day after day. And the reason is because we are embodied with the Constitution.
Tell them. Come on.
It may not have worked for us. It may not be working now. But I'm going to carry this little piece of paper. I'm going to carry, of course, the book itself. But forgive me, Brother Albright, I just have to say.
Take your time.
13th Amendment said I was free and I still suffer.
That's right.
14th Amendment gave me due process and property rights and I could not find my property. Never was given, as H.R. 40 has indicated, any form of recognition, compensation, acknowledgement. Don't strap us with checks for H.R. 40. Strap us with damnation for once acknowledging the evil and the sin of slavery and moving forward as to how we must deal with it.
That's right.
I do not cover my head with a bag because if I am helped, white people are helped.
That's right.
Latinx are helped.
That's right.
Asians are helped.
That's right.
Because I am a humanitarian, I believe in all people. LGBTQ community is helped. And the descendants of enslaved Africans are helped. But as I read this, as I go to my seat, as they say, may not have the scriptures, but I will say this, as the Reverend has said.
Say that.
There are no weapons formed against me.
That's right. All right now, right? All
And I
right
have
now.
been raised by that, by my grandmother and my parents. And that is why these brothers stand today. Because if you had to count the weapons, you would wonder, why are you still standing? Why are you here? No weapons formed against us will prosper.
That's right.
But the 15th Amendment said the rights of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged
That's right.
by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. I did not write that. I was not a constitutional writer.
That's right.
I did not have that privilege. And my descendants, my ancestors rather, did not have that privilege. And it said the Congress had the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation.
Come on now.
Here right now.
Why are we stuck here right now?
Here.
Come on.
So the message to those who are being obstacles, obstructionists, delayers, dilettantes, all of those is to get to work. To walk a mile in my shoes.
That's right.
And to be able to pass immediately for the suffering of my Texas brothers and sisters. They are suffering. They are subjected to the power of someone who will abuse power and seek to arrest them. I would offer to say that that arrest will probably not stand. Because so many of us will be using our law license, even as members of Congress, to discern that they have been wrongly held, and out they come. Try to do it. Try to do it. We will converge on there. Lawyers will come from all over the nation. I call you to come from all over the nation, of all hues, colors, and creeds, to be able to defend these brothers and sisters, because they will not go to jail one day.
That's right. One day.
So I say as I close, that we have the law on our side. Brother Hank Johnson's on the Constitutional Subcommittee. We are writing H.R. 40. Don't think we are delayed. We're writing.
Preparations now.
We have H.R. 40 that is ready to go. But S1H1, all it needs is a singular act of courage and lifting of the Constitution.
That's right.
To be able to acknowledge to all who want to read it that the law is now being broken because you're not protecting the rights of those who are being discriminated against because of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. How loud do I have to speak? How often do I have to talk? And where do I have to go to tell that story? Whatever it takes, we will be there as nonviolent perpetrators of truth. Civil disobedient persons we are. And I leave you in the name of the late John Lewis, who said, carry on. Carry on. Carry on. Carry on. Carry on. Carry on. I will. Carry on. Carry on.
I'll give it up to Representative Sheila Jackson Lee. When I say black voters, you say matter. Black voters. Matter. Black voters. Matter. When I say love, you say power. Love. Power. Love. Power. That's what we hear about. We hear in the spirit of love and in power. And I'm going to turn it over. So we're going to leave the great state of Texas, and we're going to come to another state that y'all may have heard of in terms of this fight against voter suppression, a state that recently passed one of the worst voter suppression bills that the country has seen to date. And I'm going to turn it over to my dear friend, Reverend Francis Johnson from the great state of Georgia, representing the New Georgia Project and many other organizations that he's involved in. So I'm pleased to turn it over to this brother, Francis Johnson. Come on, man, brother.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm proud to stand here as chairman of the board of directors for the New Georgia Project, following Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, and to declare from home state of John Roberts Lewis that we are in fact carrying on.
All right.
And indeed, what are we carrying on? We're carrying on a long tradition that stretches back at least 402 years of fighting for freedom.
Come on now.
I want to make sure that we understand that context. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee laid out the issues that were there and confronting this nation between its construction and its first reconstruction, second reconstruction of this country, and what it produced in terms of the 15th Amendment, along with the 14th and 13th Amendment. And so on this day, July the 22nd, 2021, this, as my grandmother would say, is the day that the Lord has made.
That's right.
And we rejoice in it.
That's right.
Because we spend it together with other brothers of like mind to call upon the conscience of other brothers who are watching this and other organizations who are wondering what you can do in this moment. And churches and clubs and groups.
Yes.
You can make your way to this citadel of democracy.
That's right.
And you can demand the full panoply, full cornucopia, the full measure of what Representative Jackson Lee was speaking about. On this day, I want you to know you can't forget about Georgia. There would have never been a 15th Amendment without Georgia. On this day, July the 22nd, 1861, President Lincoln reads the Emancipation Proclamation for the first time to his cabinet. And in that document, for the first time by a president, that insidious, inglorious, sinful institution known as involuntary servitude in the Constitution was called what it is, slavery. And in that draft, President Lincoln said to his cabinet what every person of goodwill already knew, that slavery was an abomination before God, and that it should, and those held in it, henceforth will therefore and shall be free. Those were words. They had to be proven in action. 3 years later, in the battle for Atlanta, General Tecumseh Sherman, in his march to the sea, in taking hold to Atlanta, which then was the crown jewel of the Confederacy, other cities having fallen, he declared in that day, with 11,000 odd dead men and women around him, that the South would lose, the Confederacy would crumble, and that this war could be won for America. I want to let you know that that Reparations Act, one of the first ones, was signed in a field order right down in Savannah, Georgia, by that same general who took that Battle of Atlanta and the courage that was matched in terms of word and deed, Lincoln's words, but the soldiers' deeds on the battlefield, declare 40 acres and a mule. Because all the men who gathered with him, all the men who gathered with him, all the preachers and leaders who gathered with General Sherman wanted was a fair chance to prove themselves in this country.
All right.
Get out of our way and give us a part of the land that we've worked and give us some means to work it. And we will build our own destiny. Can't get to the 15th Amendment without coming through Georgia. And as we talk about the third reconstruction of this country, where we are right now, we're going to prove the words of Georgia's son King or his adopted son Lewis, then we must put forth some action to match their words. At least that 15th Amendment is a dead letter. Indeed, Justice Kagan in this building behind me said this about the Voting Rights Act. No legislation in Congress, that was the appropriate legislation that Sheila Jackson Lee was speaking about, that the Congress shall have the authority to do this. No act of Congress has been more disrespected and disregarded than the Voting Rights Act.
That's right.
No piece of legislation has ever been more successful in accomplishing its goals. And that's why we're here, because it's been too successful. I want to let you know there was another battle of Atlanta just last year. I know about it because it wasn't General Sherman that was on the battlefield. It was Cliff Albright. It was Black Voter Matter. It was the NAACP. It was the New Georgia Project. It was Fair Fight. It was people in bits and places all over Georgia, not just Atlanta, but in places like Statesboro and Savannah and Sandersville and Sardis, who declared that they would exercise that right that Jackson Lee just spoke to us so passionately about. And we won the Battle of Atlanta. The Battle of Atlanta changed the direction of this Senate. And now we need to say to President Biden that just as there were nearly 11,000 odd dead men and women on the battlefield of the first Battle of Atlanta, and just as Donald Trump called our governor and secretary of state looking for 11,000 votes after the second Battle of Atlanta, we are looking for you, President Joseph Biden, to match your words with deeds. We are looking to you, leader of the Senate. You're only able to call yourself the majority leader because of what happened in Georgia. We are looking for you to match your words with deeds. This is no time for mere words. They ring hollow when my people are losing their rights. It is a time for action. Pastors, community leaders, academic leaders, business leaders. This is your call to action. Get here to this seat of our democracy and demand that these men and women who've been elected to represent us in this democracy preserve it and keep it. You know, when those ships left Mother Africa, I imagine that they got so far out into the ocean that they did not know the people inside, the people, not slaves, the people inside, the fathers, mothers, the leaders, did not know where they were and did not know where they were going. But I'm absolutely confident, that they knew who they were. After 402 years, these men still know who we are. Peace and power.
All right. All right, we're gonna and I just want to remind us, we're on the schedule, and so I'm gonna bring up. We're gonna go to the state of West Virginia. Now, y'all know that a critical state in this battle is the state of West Virginia, and we all know why, right? We can't let one senator, whether he be from West Virginia or Arizona, be in the way of allowing the same Jim Crow filibuster that's blocked voting rights and civil rights for decades to continue to do so. But it's important that we hear from black folks in West Virginia. That's right. And a couple of weeks ago, we were there and we heard black folks got something to say in West Virginia. So I'm so pleased to be able to bring up Brother Hollis Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Albright. My name is Hollis Lewis. I'm the co-chair of the West Virginia Black Caucus, co-chair of the West Virginia Affirmative Action Committee. This past Sunday, my pastor stated the context of our church house to say, if we leave this same house to our children, then we fail. So if we leave these same voting rights acts to our children, then we fail. So I'm proud to stand with these brothers and continue to fight that our ancestors have done. It is not just our icons, the Martin Luther King, the John Lewis. It's our grandmothers, our grandfathers, our uncles, and our cousins who lost their houses, lost their way of life in order just to give us this right to vote. It's not just about the people who are going to be in these halls in D.C. It's your state, your prosecutors, your sheriffs, your school board members, people that are going to affect your daily life. So we must continue this fight. We must stand tall in the face of everything that we're currently going through. I'm proud to just be amongst these brothers, and I thank you, Mr. Albright, for inviting me here. And again, it's not I tell people in my home state, we have a small number, but it's not about how big the number is or how big the fight it is. And we're going to continue this fight. So pass H.R. 1, pass H.R. 4 in the filibuster. Thank you.
All right, now, brother.
Thank you.
All right. Again, we're going to try to speed this up just a little bit. Thank you, Brother Hollis Lewis. We're going to turn this over to Representative Troy Carter, one of the newest members of the CBC, I think the newest members of the CBC. Troy Carter from the great state of Louisiana, representing New Orleans.
Thank you, brother. Thank you all very much. As was stated, my name is Troy Carter, the newest member of the Congressional Black Caucus. I hail from the great state of Louisiana.
Yes, sir.
A state that certainly knows a little bit about Jim Crow. A state that certainly knows about the kind of racial deprivation that our people have suffered. A state that has a Democratic governor, but both houses are controlled by Republican majorities. I'm honored to be here with these courageous men and with the courageous women who stood last week and stood today to demonstrate our tenacity, to demonstrate that we aren't going anywhere, that on this day, at this time, such as now, we will not retreat.
That's right.
We will not turn around.
That's
We
right.
will not be discouraged.
That's right.
Bring your dogs. Bring your hoses. Bring whatever you want. Arrest us. Kill us. But we will stand together. We demand nothing more, but not one damn thing less than any person has ever had in this country as it relates to their freedoms and their rights to vote. We will prevail.
That's
because
right.
we will not back down.
That's right.
Our heads may be bloody, but they will not be bowed.
That's right.
We are the captains of our ship, the masters of our soul. And as we stand today, we stand in love, lest anyone misunderstand or attempt to write this in a way that is not accurate. We stand together in unison, in love, in strength, in power, demanding what is given to us by God. And we will have it.
Right.
And we will have it.
That's right.
By any means
necessary.
That's right.
God bless you.
Thank you, Representative Carter. I'm going to turn it over now to a dear friend, dear brother. You all know him from the great work that Color of Change does and has been doing for years now. My friend, Rashad Robinson.
All right.
Well, thank you to Black Voters Matter, and thank you to all the brothers who are out today. Thank you to the sisters who led us and moved us forward. I am here on behalf of the 7.2 million members, black folks and allies of every race that stand with Color of Change every day to translate the presence that black folks have in the world into the power to actually make real change. You know, my message today is to the Democrats in the Senate.
All right.
The Democrats in the Senate who asked us to turn out in the middle of a pandemic, who told us by putting them into power, they would actually move the issues forward that we needed to move. And in the middle of a global pandemic, black folks showed out. You know, last summer, racial justice became a majoritarian issue. That's right. When many people thought the best we could do was clap outside of our windows or uplift journalism, racial justice drove people into the streets, multiracial coalitions of folks. And now that we watch as the rules are being designed to make sure that racial justice, which is now a majoritarian issue, can't be the governing majority of this country.
All right now.
So don't come to us and ask us for our vote by day and stay silent where they take away our power by night. We will not go back. And I want to say that there were no good old days. There is only a path forward. There is only a path forward with all of us being able to be heard, recognized, and visible, regardless of whether we are privileged or vulnerable, in the majority or the minority, or in favor or out of favor with whoever is in power. That is the work that we have to put together to move forward. So it means ending the filibuster. Because a racist Jim Crow legacy policy is not going to be the thing I can go out to in 2022 and explain to people that is why we didn't pass criminal justice reform. That is why we didn't put money in your pocket that was needed. That is why we did not move issues forward. So as much as we want to talk about the Republicans standing in the way,
Talk about it.
I remember being in Senator Schumer's office, and he told me all the policies that I wanted when I was meeting with him a couple of years ago. I needed Leader Schumer to accomplish.
All right.
Well, we got Leader Schumer.
Got it.
And now we need to accomplish the policies necessary. And that starts with ensuring that we do not lose our ability to express our will for a better future through the vote. That is the work forward. That is how we translate presence to power. That is how we work to change the rules. We will not get a true democracy without racial justice. In fact, racial justice is not the outcome of a true democracy.
Come on, teach.
Racial justice is the thing that gives us a true democracy. And so let's center racial justice in all the work we do to undo all the norms and practices that stand in our way of progress. That is the path forward. Thank you all for being out here today.
Thank you.
Listen, I apologize. Many of us, Brother Hank and us, are going to have to leave shortly, but there was one other thing I want to say. While we speak to the need for us to have unfettered access to the voting booths, unfettered access to every right, not made more difficult, not challenged, but open all the doors and let everybody vote. We also have to be true to ourselves. And I want to say this to all of our brothers and sisters throughout the land. While we here in this sun fight for those rights, while we here remember those who have died and those who have gone to jail and those who still will go to jail, you can't stay home. You got to go and vote. Having the right is only one part. Exercising the right is enough. So brothers and sisters, as we listen and we love and we fight and we learn, let's fight for the right and then let's exercise that right. Because when we vote, we win.
All right. We're going to bring up now Reverend Cornell William Brooks, 18th President and CEO of the NAACP, currently at the Harvard Kennedy School. Cornell William Brooks.
All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm here today, first and foremost, as a brother standing in solidarity with so many sisters who stood for the right to vote. I'm here today as a fourth-generation minister in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. But I'm also here today as a first-generation civil rights lawyer. I'm a first-generation civil rights lawyer and a fourth-generation minister in the AME Church as a consequence of the legacy of the Reverend James Edmund Prelo, my granddaddy, who back in 1946 was inspired by a civil rights lawyer by the name of Thurgood Marshall.
All right.
Thurgood Marshall walked into the doors of this building, argued a case called Smith versus Allwright, which held unconstitutional, which held unlawful, which held immoral. The all-white Southern Democratic primary, that is, that procedure, which designated the Democratic Party as a country club, a social club, in which black folks were unfit to be members. And as a consequence, they had a lockhold, a stronghold, a monopoly on Southern elected offices. My granddaddy, when he heard that Thurgood Marshall won the case Smith versus Allwright, he was inspired
to run for Congress as a leader of the local branch of the NAACP.
Yeah, that's right.
He ran for Congress not because Fox News told him he could win, not because there was a CNN poll that told him he could win, not because the MSNBC network told him he can win. He ran because he had a love and affection for the black folk in the low country of South Carolina.
That's right, that's right.
The historians tell us that the Reverend James Edmund Prelo lost decisively. He only garnered 2% of the vote.
That's all right.
But my granddaddy got into a little conversation with his daughter, my mother, Jamie Prelo, about the right to vote, and about standing up for our rights under the U.S. Constitution. My mama translated and transliterated, for those of you not from the South, my mother.
Yeah. Break it down.
My mama had a high school classmate by the name of Jim who convinced her as a 17-year-old college student to get in some good trouble in South Carolina at South Carolina State College. Her classmate from high school, her college classmate by the name of Jim, convinced her to get arrested. And so as a consequence, she was put in a cattle pen because the jails were filled. But her classmate, Jim, may have heard my mama talk about her daddy running for Congress in the 6th District of South Carolina. Jim, James Clyburn, ran for that same seat. He won that seat. He took the spirit of my granddaddy into the halls of Congress.
Come on. All right. Tell the story.
Now, I can extrapolate a few moral, policy, and legal lessons from this modest family story. The first of which is those who argue that we can out-organize, out-register, out-enroll voter suppression are sadly mistaken. My granddaddy and so many all across this country, they organized, they registered people to vote, they laid down their lives for the vote, but it wasn't until there was a Voting Rights Act of 1965 that James Clyburn had any chance of walking into the halls of Congress. Don't tell us we need to work harder. You need to do your job.
That's right. Come on now.
Come on. Second fallacy that I'd like to take up is this notion that our fight is a partisan fight.
That's right.
The Supreme Court said that in a recent Supreme Court decision that voter suppression is a matter of partisan inconvenience. Some voters are inconvenienced to the partisan advantage of other voters. Well, let's be clear. My granddaddy wasn't inconvenienced. Your mamas and daddies who stood in line for long hours without water were not inconvenienced. Their votes were suppressed. Their votes were denied. Their rights were violated. They were victimized. And we're not here to hear any kind of argument about inconvenience. This is not about inconvenience. It's about an impossibility. That is to say, without voting rights, democracy is impossible.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's it. That's right.
Third and last fallacy, this notion that we can achieve voting rights in this country without addressing the filibuster. Well, Brother Rashad Robinson has said to us and explained to us so well, has had the leadership of Black Voters Matter explained to us so well, how many sacrifices have been made, how many promises have been made, how many lives have been laid down. And we are yet saying here, you've got a choice between the procedural obscurities of the United States Senate and the real needs of the people. You can choose between arcane, out-of-date, old-fashioned, Jim Crow, racist rules in the Senate, or you can speak to the real needs of our democracy. Don't tell me you're going to choose the filibuster over the right to vote.
Right. That's right.
Last point I just want to leave with you is the point about the moral gravity of the right to vote, the freedom to vote. To be clear here, this is bigger than race. As much as this fight centers on black and brown people, it's bigger than race. Why? Because black folks are excluded, brown folks are excluded from the ballot box, young folks are being punished at the ballot box, older folks are being punished at the ballot box, people with disabilities are being punished at the ballot box, migrant communities are being punished at the ballot box, immigrant communities are being punished at the ballot box, Native Americans on reservations in cities, suburbs, and towns are being punished. So don't tell me it's merely about race. It's not merely about Republicans. It's about our morality and power as a democracy.
Yes, sir.
And I'll just leave you with this modest story. A few years ago, some of us had it in our hearts to march from Selma, Alabama, the home of the Voting Rights Act, to Washington, D.C., the home of our democracy. 1,004 miles over the course of 40 days. I walked beside a 70-year-old veteran by the name of Middle Passage, a veteran of the Navy, a veteran of military service, and he carried the American flag for 900 miles for the right to vote. We came to the little town called Spotsylvania, Virginia.
That's right.
It began to rain. Middle wrapped up the flag. But when the rain stopped, when the clouds parted, he unfurled the flag. And when he did, he fell to the pavement and lost his life. The hardest question I was ever asked at the NAACP was a question by young folk who asked, if a man was willing to die for the right to vote, why can't we fight and be willing to die for the right to vote? We're saying here that we will fight. We will die, but we will have the right to vote. We will have the John Lewis Act. We will have For the People Act. We will never give up. We will never give in. We will never give over. We will fight for the right to vote.
That's right. That's right. We've still got about 5 remaining speakers, maybe 6 remaining speakers, plus. In fact, let's do this before we head over. Representative Johnson. So be clear, we've got representatives here from the major black fraternities here. We got Alpha Phi Alpha. I shouldn't try to put it in any particular order because I might get in trouble. I should put it in order. I should put it in order. We got the Alphas here. We got the Omegas here. We got the Kappas here. We got the Sigmas here. And so as we close, and they've allowed representatives that are going to speak when we get to the Hart Office building. So everybody's still going to get the opportunity to speak. But we're going to close it out here by having one of the Omega brothers and a representative from the great state of Georgia come up and say a few words before we start to walk on out. Representative Hank Johnson.
You know, I came prepared to deliver the keynote address today. And I know y'all are ready to hear that. I just wanted to bring a smile to your faces because, you know, when black males get together, it makes folks uncomfortable.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Say that. That's true.
And when we're not playing basketball,
Come on. There you go.
it makes folks uncomfortable. And when we're not smiling, it makes folks real uncomfortable. But we came today in peace. We're peaceful. We love peace, and but we have a couple of demands that we want to lay at the table.
Tell them. All right. Tell them.
And they have to do with some legislation that's needed. As I look out towards the House and Senate, and I think of the January 6th insurrection, a white supremacist insurrection. And then as I look back across my shoulder at the United States Supreme Court, where once was delivered
the dreadful Dred Scott decision. Followed up a couple of generations later by Plessy versus Ferguson. And then for a long, long time, we were in the trick bag as a people. I feel like we're in a trick bag today between the legislative branch and the judicial branch. That trick bag has to do with what's going to happen in November of 2022 and beyond. You know, because folks over there, just like those insurrectionists wanted control, there's folks inside the building who think the same way, and they want control.
Say that.
And guess what? There's some folks in the building right behind me who are right there with them.
Facts.
Right
there.
We're caught in a trick bag.
Facts.
So today, we're getting ready to leave this pocket that we're in. We're going to take a little walk.
That's right.
We're going to go over to the Hart Senate office building. And in the words of my good friend John Lewis, who passed away just a year ago, who taught us that if you see something that's not right, say something.
That's right.
Do something.
That's right.
Get in the way.
That's right.
Get in trouble.
That's right.
Good trouble.
What kind of trouble?
But get in good trouble.
That's right.
So we're headed over to the Hart office building. I know everyone won't be able to be with us, but there'll be a few of us going over, and we're going to make it known that we're there. We may not be smiling, but don't fear. We have peace in our heart.
That's right.
We're nonviolent. We just want you to understand our demands. We have two. Number one, pass H.R. 4, the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, Senate 4, and you pass H.R. 1, Senate 1, the For the People Act. That's our first demand.
That's right.
But I guess I should have put my second demand first.
What's that?
Because before we can achieve those, we've got to do some filibuster reform.
That's right.
That's a way, that's a device that has been used to suppress our rights.
That's right.
We're seeing a lot of devices cropping up now in Texas, in Georgia.
That's right.
Devices that are used to pick us off and to keep us from exercising that right fully as a people. And we can't allow that to happen because we got plans for November 2022
right.
and beyond.
That's right.
And we realize that we won't be able to achieve it unless we accomplish those two goals that I just laid out.
That's right.
So that's why we are here today, and that's why we are ready to move forward with our little walk.
That's right.
So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move.
Let's move. There it is. Ride up.
Ready to go.
We're going to give everybody a chance to speak on the other side, if that's okay, all right? All right. We want to acknowledge everybody on the other side. How we line up? 2 by 2?
Brothers, if we can we line up 2 by 2, please?
You want my keys to drive?
Hold it.
Let's go line up. Get everybody lined up.
And let's let the cameras get in front of us. Give it a chance, everybody. Come on.
Y'all got here. So let's line up behind the members here. 2 by 2. Let's go. 2 by 2. 2 by 2. 2 by 2.
All right. All right, turn that off.
Nice
they stole, the children or people of God, like the prophets, the angels, and also the martyrs. They not killed. They stole. They steal people, actual people from God. See, they steal. The pastors stole. They did. You should know this, okay? They did.
What about you? Everybody good?
Like if a sheep, a lamb or something missing, they stole it according to the Bible. Okay? It's noise. Okay? Noise.
Are we good? You ready? Everybody lined up? You ready? All right, let's go.
Yeah, here we go.
No justice! No peace! 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 In the filibuster! Now! 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 In the filibuster! Now!
Slow down a little bit. Just slow down a little bit. Let the cameras get you.
Man, brothers on a mission. The cameras better catch up.
Look, man, you don't
Theoretically.
You don't want us
He said theoretically. All right, here we go. We're good, brother.
Yeah, let's go.
This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy
Thank you, brother.
looks like.
This is what democracy looks like. Show me what our power looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what our power looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Tell me what our power looks like. This is what our power looks like. Tell me what our power looks like. This is what our power looks like. Tell me what our power looks like. This is what our power looks like. Tell me what our power looks like. This is what our power looks like. Tell me what our power looks like. This is what our power looks like. Tell me what our power looks like. This is what our power looks like. Tell me what our power looks like. This is what our power looks like. Tell me what our power looks like. This is what our power looks like. Tell me what our power looks like. This is what our power looks like. Tell me what our power looks like. This is what our power looks like. Tell me what our power looks like. This is what our power looks like. Tell me what our power looks like. This is what our power looks like. Tell me what our power looks like. This is what our power looks like. Tell me what our power looks like. This is what our power looks like. Tell me what our power looks like. This is what our power looks like. Tell me what our power looks like. This is what our power looks like. Tell me what our power looks like. This is what our power looks like. Tell me what our power looks like. This is what our power looks like. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The
coming in, yelling and stuff like that right off the bat. So if we can maintain,
I'm reaching out to her.
All right.
Right now. Why don't you go ahead and continue the program?
Oh, you are, sir?
While we do it. I'm Reverend Mark Thompson.
Ron Thompson? All right. I'll talk to you directly, and I know you're going to be busy, so that's why I'll talk to him.
All right.
How are you doing today?
Right.
Haven't seen you in a
all
while
right?
since I came to the Senate.
Hey, hey!
You look
Ho,
good. You look younger,
right? Has got to go. Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey! Ho, ho! I said, black voters, they matter here. 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 Black men, we 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 stand up 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 here. Black men are straight and queer. 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 Black lives, they matter here. 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 Black voters, they matter here. Black voters, they matter here.
Hey, brothers, real quick, before we go in, we got a native son of D.C., a brother who's been right here on the front line, not only fighting for D.C. statehood, but fighting to make sure that our brothers and our sisters are informed right here. I think it's only right that since we're here in his city, we make sure that we give him the opportunity to say a few words. This our dear brother Ty Hobson Powell. Let's show him some love. Brother Ty, spit truth to power for us, good brother.
First, giving honor to God. My name is Ty Hobson Powell, born and raised here in Washington, D.C. I serve as the founder and director of policy for Concerned Citizens D.C. Concerned Citizens, we came out around this time last year, a little bit after the George Floyd and Breonna Taylor protests, because what we realized is that we weren't just fighting back against that, right? We're fighting against an America that has been against us since its inception. And so if we are truly trying to make progress, we have to be intellectually honest about what America has and hasn't been so that we can move forward together. That's right. We watched a pivotal election be delivered not only in the general election but in the Senate runoff, right?
That's right.
By black voters.
That's right.
We did that.
That's right.
We showed up and we showed out and we delivered the majority. But it's not enough for our leaders to espouse progressive values if they have the power to make progressive change and don't do it. So what we need is we need bold change from these people that we elected in because they owe us.
That's right.
They owe us. They have been owed us, but they owe us now. We see it, right? As I stand here and I talk to you all about this democracy that we're fighting to be included in, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about D.C. statehood.
Say that.
Right here, we are seated in a place where over 700,000, mainly black and brown residents, surround a democracy they can't participate in. Come on now. My vote doesn't matter in the ways that it should. And as somebody who just became a father a little over 3 weeks ago, I want my daughter's vote to matter. I don't want her to inherit this fight. That's right. And so, as we have these larger conversations about renegotiating the social contract with America, let's not forget D.C.
That's right.
Let's not forget that if D.C. becomes the 51st state, we'd be the only majority black state in the entire union. Right. And so it is no mystery why it hasn't happened yet. It's no mystery why, as D.C.'s black population has dwindled to its lowest, this conversation is now getting to its highest around enfranchising the residents.
That's right.
And so what I want us to do is I want us to stand with D.C. statehood. I want us to stand with all these fights across the country because an attack against one of us is an attack against all of us.
That's right.
Until we are all free, none of us are free.
That's right.
Power to the people.
Black lives, they matter here.
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 Black voters, 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 they matter here.
D.C., it matters 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 here.
D.C.,
afternoon. Good afternoon, brothers.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, brothers.
Good afternoon.
Today is the day that the Lord has made, and
Yes.
we shall rejoice and be glad in it. And while we're glad in it, we must remember we are not taking backward steps. We are not going backwards. So I'm going to share some brief remarks and try to be brief, but you know, Alpha men, we like to talk. In 1957, Alpha Brother Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said, give us the ballot, and we will fill our legislative halls with men of goodwill.
Yes, sir.
But just in 2021, Alpha Brother Senator Raphael Warnock said, this is Jim Crow in new clothes, when referring to voter suppression. Well, family, the brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated adamantly opposed, and today we are here to double down on both overt and covert actions to oppress our vote.
That's right.
Because we know the power of voter registration and education. Senator Warnock showed us the power of voter registration and education. Congressman Bobby Scott showed us the power of voter registration and education. Vice President Harris shows us the power of voter registration and education. So as we stand here, the brothers of Alpha calls for the immediate passing of For the People Act and John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the immediate end of the filibuster, so that we can strengthen and restore the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Because as I said earlier, Alpha brothers don't take backward steps. So we refuse to allow it to happen now. As stated, my name is Tamir Harper, and I have the honor of being the Assistant Vice President of the Eastern Region of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
What a grand
and as
house.
a board member.
Yes.
I rise on behalf of our General President, Dr. Willis L. Lonzo III, and our over 200,000 initiated brothers and 700 chapters initiated. Because when our people vote, we know we win.
That's right.
As a Philadelphia, Pennsylvania native, during the 2020 election, I saw it firsthand how they wanted to stop us from voting. They tried everything in their power, but Pennsylvania still went blue. They tried it in Georgia, Georgia still went blue. They tried it in Arizona, and Arizona still went blue. So brothers and sisters, the legacy of Alpha Phi Alpha is that 7 college men with a need, an idea, and commitment begin what is now an almost 115-year-old organization. We know firsthand that it doesn't take a big group or a big plan to accomplish or make meaningful difference. So today, whether you focus just on your street or on your family, we have to do something together. And as I dream today, I would be remiss not to share the gravity of repeating the mistakes of the past. So as we look towards our future in unity, this year should serve as a reminder not to take backward steps.
No, sir.
And allow a spirit of hate to consume this nation.
Forward together.
Not to let the turmoil of our history affect the advancement of our people.
Yes.
And most of all, not to fall in the trap of complacency, but to be uncomfortable with the threat against our democracy. Today, let's get in good trouble.
Good trouble.
So as I take my seat in the back of this church, I need everybody to remember this fight is not over. And actually, I need you to turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, the fight is not over.
The fight is not over.
And the brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated stands ready to be on the battlefield.
We are.
To do the work
Yes, sir.
so that we can progress
Yes,
as
sir.
one.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Very good.
Good job, bro.
Kappa Alpha Psi Incorporated, Richard Maddox.
All right, Brother Maddox.
Good evening, brother. Good afternoon. Hey, good morning.
All right.
I'm Richard B. Maddox, the Senior Province Vice Postmark of the Eastern Province and the National Social Action Chair of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. I come today representing the 34th president, to many of you, the 34th postmark of Kappa Alpha Psi, Reuben Shelton, Esquire. I also come representing the 170,000 brothers and their families of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, joining the 1.2 million members of NPHC. I come here today because Kappa Alpha Psi will no longer stand quietly watching our votes be taken away. As a native Mississippian, growing up in a rural area where we know the struggles, it's not a hot out here. It wasn't too hot for Fannie Lou Hamer. Come on. It wasn't too hot for Medgar Evers. And it's not too hot for us. We're here today because we know that the John Lewis Voting Rights Act means a lot. lot to those brothers, those families, those people that look like us. The For the People's Act, once again, is another piece of legislation. As a former staffer in the office of the second African-American congressman from the state of Mississippi, Congressman Benny G. Thompson, who now chairs the Insurrection Committee. So standing here today brings me great pride to see brothers of all shades. As brother said earlier, our hues extend far beyond just who we are. But I stand here today, brothers, and saying, let's end the filibuster. Let's pass H.R. 1, S1, H.R. 4. Let's take our rights back. Let's continue to vote. Let's stand for the sisters, the brothers. My aunt, as I was talking to her this morning, as I was driving down here, she said her first opportunity to vote was in 1958. And she had to pay $2 for 2 consecutive years in 1958. That is equivalent to 4 hours of work during that time when she was 18 years old. So brothers, when we stand here today, we're standing on the shoulders of giants. And we stand on the shoulders of all of those who shed blood, those who made the significant sacrifices, the ultimate sacrifices. Coming from rural Mississippi, there was, while all the focus is on Georgia, Congressman Johnson, and we were all there for the runoff, and my daughter went early. But what we do recognize is that the voting rights of all our people are just as important. The challenges we face today, Brother Brooks, are the same challenges that you faced at Jackson State in 1983. Those are the same challenges that we have continued to face. And we cannot allow our kids to miss this opportunity to be a part of who we are. So I say to all of us, they live well who live for something that will outlast themselves. Thank you.
Black men, they matter here.
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 Sisters, they matter here.
Sisters, they matter here.
Sisters, they matter here.
Sisters, they matter here.
Ken Rogers, y'all. Ken Rogers. Omega Psi. Omega Psi Phi. Fraternity Incorporated.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Not today.
Not today.
Not today.
Not today.
I am Kenneth Rogers, proud member of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, a fraternity that prides itself on community service and activism. And I stand here today on behalf of our national president, Dr. David Marion. Omega Psi Phi has over 700 chapters across the country, more than 200,000 members, and we pride ourselves on community service. We have voter rights education programs as well as people to the poll programs. We are ensuring that our people has an opportunity to cast their vote for the congressmen and the policies that best represent their communities. I stand here today in support of H.R. 1 S1 for the People Act as well as for the John Lewis Voter Registration Act. Omega stands behind this policy. Not today.
Not today. Not today. Brother Chris Ray. Brother Chris Ray. Brother Chris Ray. All right. Brother Chris. Phi Beta Sigma Incorporated. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. All right. My name is Chris Ray. I'm the International First Vice President of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. I stand here this afternoon on behalf of not only our hundreds of thousands of brothers around the world, but on behalf of my ancestors. Those who have fought in every generation for access to the ballot box. I stand here today to send a message with my brothers to those who cower in dark rooms, trying to change the rules to the game, that we see you, that we know what you're doing, and that we are not going anywhere. The next generation of us are here to send a message to you that we will continue to fight until all folks have the right to vote. In the words of John Lewis, a great Sigma man, he says that we gather here together in order to get in good trouble, necessary trouble, and that the vote is the most important nonviolent act
that will change the generations of people. The vote allows for us access to the ballot box. The vote allows us to be able to have access to quality education. The vote allows us to get affordable health care. The vote allows us to send people to Washington, D.C. in order to pass an infrastructure bill to bring jobs to our communities, to be able to improve the quality of life. The vote. The vote is necessary. And so I'm asking each and every one of you, as I stand with my brothers and my sisters today, to let them know that we are here to fight, and we will keep on fighting. And we will fight until hell freezes over. And then after that, we will fight on the ice. Right. We will vote, we will fight, and we will continue to make sure that all people have that right. Thank you all.
All right. Hey, hey, ho, ho, the filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, the filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, the filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, the filibuster has got to go. I want to bring up my brother, Black Male Voter Project. He's been sounding the cry for a long time about how we need to recognize the importance of black male voters. Mondale Robinson.
What's good, y'all? It's real quick. You've heard all about the filibuster. You heard about the John Lewis Act. You heard about For the People Act. Here's the lie that nobody's talking about. Why is bipartisanship important in order for progress? It's not. It's not. Republicans don't talk about bipartisanship when they're doing harm to our people all over this country in all manners. Why now, when we have power in all three houses, are we talking about bipartisanship at the expense?
That's right.
All this legislation that we were promising voters all 2020.
Make it plain. That's right.
Mr. President, you have an obligation to stop talking about partisanship and talk about the hurt that's been inflicted on our communities at the expense of y'all laziness. Do something. Do something or suffer the consequences in 2022.
Speak on it, brother. That's right. That's right.
Wow.
That's right. No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
We want voting rights. What do we want?
Voting rights.
And when do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Voting rights.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Voting rights.
When do we want it?
Now.
And if we don't get it,
shut it down.
If we don't get it,
shut it down.
If we don't get it,
shut it down.
I said if we don't get it,
shut it down.
All right. I think he's busy over there. I think we got all of our scheduled speakers. Am I correct?
It is our duty to fight.
It is our duty to fight.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
For we have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
It is our duty to fight.
It is our duty to fight.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
For we have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains. I think we got one last speaker, Darryl Jones. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up Brother Darryl Jones. He's been such a big help in making this happen through the Transformative Justice Coalition. My brother, Darryl Jones.
Thank you, Cliff. Thank you. Folks, 400 pieces of voter suppression legislation have been introduced across this country in over 40 states.
Yep.
All of those legislation, every piece of that legislation would have failed had the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act been in place. Every one of those pieces of legislation would have failed had the For the People Act been in place. Folks, we gather here today to get arrested to free to vote. That's what we're here for, to free to vote.
Come on.
Don't get it confused. We are not here for anything personal. This is about our rights and the rights of our children yet unborn. We are here to free the vote. Folks, let's go free this vote. Free to vote!
Free to vote!
Free to vote!
Free to vote! Free to vote! Free to vote! Free to vote! Free to vote! Free to vote! Free to vote!
Brothers, just a couple things, and grateful. Has everyone spoken? And all the brothers, the Panhellenic brothers, everybody's spoken? So I think we've got all the speakers. So now this is the situation. This is considered a demonstration because we're chanting. So we're not going to do any more chanting right now because everyone is not signed up to be arrested. All right? So we're going to wait here. We'll stay here and gather. Momentarily, some of us will be taken in, and then we will do whatever we're going to do on the inside. But let me just say a few words. I think we all, if we can applaud, one more thing, Captain, if we want to applaud Black Voters Matter, let's give them a round. It is also significant that all of the historically black fraternities, well, at least 4 of them are here. I unfortunately did not pledge a fraternity per se, but I'm still in the family. My grandfather founded Beta Omicron at Tennessee State University in 1934. I pledged, I went to Georgetown, they didn't allow fraternities. And so Coach Thompson asked me to work for his basketball team. I pledged John Thompson. And if you know anything about him, that was a fraternity. Amen.
Wow. And you got Hayes.
That's right. And I know Coach, we lost him less than a year ago. We all miss him terribly. But he's still watching over us and would be here. Every time we did something, he was present and he was supportive. Now, 26 years ago, where's Latasha? Black women supported us as black men on the other side of that Capitol for the Million Man March. Amen? So we can support them over this 2-week period that they're demonstrating.
That's right.
That's what we do as what it's about.
Bring your history. Bring your history.
And real black men are not threatened by black women taking and showing leadership. No. Because as African people,
that's what it's about.
We come from a matrilineal society.
Yes.
We are descendants from queens and kings. The other societies, the other cultures come from a patrilineal society. And so we support our sisters. That is why we're here. Just a word or two, and we also got to stay clear of the door, because if we block the door, that's a demonstration. So we got to be sure we're not in front of the door. To be clear, one of the main issues that we're facing here, obviously, is what? The filibuster. They're dealing with the filibuster. And I think we ought to take a minute to understand what a filibuster really is and where it comes from.
1837.
It comes from a Spanish word, filibustero.
Yes.
Come on. And what filibuster was, the definition was a filibusterer was someone that went into another country or another space and agitated, fomented, provocateured a revolution or an overthrow or an insurrection. That's what filibuster means. It is fomenting that. Hey, brother, come on up here. It is fomenting that. This is Mike Espy. Is that Mike? Come on, Mike. Say, bro.
Yeah.
This is our brother Mike Espy working down in Mississippi.
That's right. Good work.
Y'all, Mississippi is within reach.
Yes, it is.
It's within reach. So we're glad to see Mike. So a filibuster, there were people called filibusterers in the antebellum South before the Civil War. They wanted to go into Cuba. That's why they still had the issue in Cuba right now. They wanted to go into Cuba and Mexico and the Caribbean and other parts of Latin America and annex those territories to be slave states, to enlarge the Confederacy. That's what the original filibusterers were doing. That is why, where's our Texas delegation? That is why it was the filibusterers that were so anxious to annex Texas into the Union because it held slaves. So it was the filibusterers who were responsible for trying to expand American expansionism as foreign policy in Latin America, in Mexico, in the Caribbean, to annex more slave states to come on in with Texas.
That's right.
That's what it was all about. Later, it gained this modern day terminology, where you use it to block and thereby legalize lynching by blocking anti-lynching legislation.
That's right.
By blocking civil rights legislation. But as I said originally, it was a revolution and an insurrection. So if a filibuster was an insurrection, and there are those today who support this filibuster, then those people are insurrectionists, along with the people they are excusing for causing the insurrection on January 6th. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this with these officers present. I know some of these, many of these Capitol Police officers. Some of them are my friends. This is Washington, D.C. It's a small town. Some of these sisters and brothers who work for the Capitol Police, it's their job. They come here. It's a good job to have. It's a good career to have. They up here to be attacked on January 6th.
That's right.
By a party that has a hashtag back the blue. By a party that attacks us for saying defund, and yet when the money came forward to the to give more money to the Capitol Police to do their job better, they voted to defund the Capitol Police. That is a contradiction. We're not here to cause that trouble. We're not here to hurt the Capitol Police. We are here to participate in a nonviolent action to end the filibuster for all it means, all it has done to prevent our voting rights, to prevent us from having anti-lynching legislation, Rashad, to prevent us from having civil rights legislation, to prevent us today from having the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act, For the People Act, the John Lewis Act. And we know once H.R. 40 is passed on the floor, they're going to try to do the same thing here.
Sure they're going to do it.
So this filibuster has got to go. Now, one other thing I'll say about a filibuster. A minority is making a decision on behalf of a majority. And this particular minority using the filibuster is a minority that is preventing our right to vote. When a minority prevents a people in a majority having a right to vote, what's another word for that?
Apartheid.
Apartheid.
That's right.
A minority controlling a majority. And the majority of Americans, be they black or white, want voting rights.
That's right.
So this is a minority practicing apartheid.
That's right.
Against those of us who are men, while they hold this building hostage, while they hold democracy hostage, while they speak with forked tongues and say they support law enforcement and yet send people up here with flagpoles to throw glass at and beat up law enforcement and bring harm to them. So all of these contradictions exist. We are here to prevent all this. We're here to stand with our sisters.
That's right.
And so the last thing I'll say is get ready.
Make it plain.
Because it's time to come back
Make it plain.
to the sacred space.
Make it plain.
And so we're inviting everyone back here.
That's right.
On August 28th.
That's right.
At the Lincoln Memorial. To stand where Dr. King stood. Who said he refused to believe the moral bank of justice is bankrupt.
Yeah.
Refused to believe that we should continue to get checks marked insufficient funds.
That's insufficient funds.
So we will return to the sacred space to stand up for voting rights.
That's right.
To restore voting rights.
Yes.
To reimagine public safety.
Yes.
To gain reparations.
Yes.
To do all of these things, to remove the filibuster.
Come on.
Yes. Everyone in unity is invited. Everyone. I want everybody to be clear about this. Everyone in unity.
Right.
Under Black Voters Matter and other organizations. All of us will come together.
Come together.
In unity to stand in that sacred space and declare our justice, declare our rights for all. And that is why we're here today, and we will continue to stand with our sisters in doing that. We are beautiful people. We are an African people.
That's right.
We deserve our rights. And so it is no contradiction for women to stand and for men to stand behind them. It's also not always a contradiction when women stand behind us. Because as Dick Gregory said, even when a black woman stands behind a black man, like it says in the song, surely goodness and mercy is following me all the days of my life.
Yeah.
Amen.
All right. We have, give it up for Reverend Mark Thompson. Mark, do we have the...
I'm waiting. We haven't heard the word. I got a text.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, everybody, let's just create a little lane here so everybody can get through here.
Thank you. All right. We just try to see if you can... just want to make sure, because we know...
All right, we're still waiting. I'm waiting on the word. Okay. So, member Corey's staff is supposed to come and escort us all in. So I'm just waiting. To get the word.
Good to see you, man.
That's cool. No, not yet. So good. Hey, man.
Oh, yeah. Everybody good? Anybody need water? Everybody good? Everybody need water? Water over there. Water over there. Everybody need water? Grab some water. Everybody need water? Grab some water. Y'all need some water? Y'all like some water? Good? You want water? You good?
Where's Hank?
You're welcome to the water, but that is for the police officers.
Oh,
Hold it. Just speaking of which, y'all don't take the police officers' water. But because of what they've been through, and in full disclosure, as a minister, I have even counseled some of these police officers, not ones here right now, but others I've spoken to over the phone. Some of these sisters and brothers are mothers and fathers, aunts and uncles who just showed up to work one day.
That's right.
All right?
That's right.
So let's give the Capitol Police officers a round of applause for standing strong, and they're here to keep us safe as well. And they also know, now they know the difference. They know we know how to act like we got some sense. And we're not the target here. But we're waiting to go inside now.
I think it's just science, but the way we describe it. That's what it is. That's what it is, yeah.
Someone doesn't get it.
Okay. Okay.
Everybody want anything?
Sit over there, right?
What's up? How are you? That system's now at the meeting.
Oh!
Oh, really?
Oh, national. Very good. Very good.
It's good for you to be here.
We have much together.
Good.
I didn't know that was.
What do you know?
So you gotta be working. Cirillo, what you doing, man?
You know how many times I hear it? How many times I hear that? That was my first. That was my first.
In spite of all this, they let me
No, I thought that's why listen.
They keep changing the rules.
Cirillo. Cirillo.
We just had a double check. Yeah.
We have a meeting with Phoenix Ray.
But it also opened up the possibility. These places like the ground. Okay.
Get ready. Let's get ready. Hey, Arthur. Real quick. Roy, you got credentials in there? Okay, go ahead. All right.
I got your phone.
I take it back because I need it.
So we got it. We got the
So
info.
she's on the way down.
Okay, Cliff, what you saying? Come on.
I think you got everything. Are you planning to go in with us anyway?
I am, but I don't want to be first.
We in the tournament.
Yeah, you come on. Come on. Thank you. But now we can only take 9 in with us.
Do you need your book back?
Yeah, I'm sorry. We can. Yeah, come on, y'all. Up on the door. Up on the door.
I was the television director.
Okay. So do we have
national tournament?
We got 9. This is 8 plus. Okay, cool. He's streaming all through.
I need to come back to I'm getting. I ain't getting arrested.
You just weed.
I'm gonna work it out. Watch. Working out how you can find
Hopefully that's the case.
I'm just saying.
And that's on purpose.
Tell already.
The rock, you know what I'm saying, towards the tree as a trillion out there. And so what we've done is that we had the first CLE.
Yes.
And my wife, right now, I'm literally like,
Well, you know, we got to check. We got to go down.
St. Louis, man.
Maybe I'll find out some child support back on some something. That'll be surprising.
That's my point.
Thankfully, I haven't driven in years, really, like in a real way. I used to always get tickets on DC. They text me those cameras. I couldn't even deny who was me.
I got you.
You can't turn it off. We want to thank our brother. We're about to go ahead and do this. We want to thank our brother Roland Martin for always being present, sending his crew, and whatnot to be a part of this and covering it. So we just want to say on behalf of all these black men out here, we thank you, brother Roland. He's standing strong. Roland don't want to do that with me, but it's cool.
Black journalism matters, black media matters, and so we thankful for Roland.
Nah, I'm just kidding. Roland's my brother, so we're gonna work some stuff out. We hope we'll be doing some stuff together real soon. So that's
coalition.
Normally what? Because he had like big law firm.
Right on. We should be gerrymandering. But you got to have that vision of black advantages.
Practice.
Is this the Jones case?
Yes.
Hey, we got some cues out here.
How you doing? Hey, Francis Johnson. Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm running.
Okay. All right.
Hey, I gotta run over there.
Hello, Darryl.
Yeah.
Yeah, we about to run there. Everything okay?
Yes, sir. We just
Come on, Cliff.
Yeah, it's Roland streaming live right now.
Yeah, it's always good to be with the brothers. We were with the sisters yesterday. All right. All right. Okay. Take care, Hank.
Okay, y'all, we gotta keep this clear. We gotta keep it clear.
Keep it clear. You do the same. All right.
He came up with it from Georgia.
Wow. So, yeah, but it'll be interesting. We're going to fight it together. Over every piece.
Right now,
so when you, but it'll pass. It'll pass. Train the government mansion. We'll fight it out. We'll get it out. Yeah, of course.
You know, the moment she announces, then that's going to change the perspective as to some of the other things she thinks. She literally getting everybody in place and pieces that need to be done.
Predominantly white Jews came back and did not
Shooting him in almost without 2 seconds. And that's sentimentality.
It's like, no, I'll send you Leah Rice. No, under 3 seconds. Yeah, I'll send you to that. Yeah, it was cover heavy when it initially happened. You know, Sylvania was a small town. Happened to be able to get the you know, the
like
lift.
you when I hear you.
So we got to kind of turn it into a Jesus
synthesize history, politics, legal pieces.
Look, and when we went the last time there on the rooftops, like it was on the, you know, armed up.
Kemp is making his move. His appointment of Berta yesterday.
What do you think about
She is not. She is not. At the same time, you know, patronage is a powerful thing. People put you in position.
When is she up for you?
She'll be up for election in the next cycle.
Y'all went up
but she's
there
filling
and
up
told
the seat of the, you know, that glorious resignation that wasn't one. He resigned before the election, but didn't take effect until after the election. No, it wasn't Harold. It was Peterson. He thought Trump was going to appoint him. I don't even understand Harold.
All right, well, yeah. Okay, we're cool. Congress is your place. So we just, they're not going to let us say. Yes, sir. They went up there and talked to us. So we just stand out everybody who plans on committing civil disobedience, just gather around me on both sides of me and Cliff, please. Let's get together. No, we good, Latasha. We ready to go. Come on, we good. We good.
The warning and then
let's all get together. All right? We good? You doing? Go lock on, brother? You with us? Well, let's go. Let's lock on. Everybody who's with us. Everybody who's with us.
Well,
everybody can't do this back on.
No. If you're not going, you gotta
I got locked up already.
All right. Nobody comes through here. We clear? We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the waters. We shall not be moved. We're fighting for our freedom. We're fighting for our freedom. We shall not be moved. We're fighting for our freedom. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the waters. We shall not be moved. We're standing with black women. We're standing with black women. We shall not be moved. We're standing with black women. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the waters. We shall not be moved.
Black lives, they matter here.
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 Black men, we stand up 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 here.
Black lives, they matter 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 here.
In the filibuster.
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 Black lives, they matter here.
Black lives, they matter here.
Black voters, 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 they matter here.
We are not here for disruption, only justice. Black voters, they matter here.
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 Hey, hey, ho, ho.
The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
When do we want
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
If we don't get it,
Shut it down.
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 What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Now.
If we don't get it,
Shut it down.
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 If we don't get it,
Shut it down. Whose house?
Our house.
Whose house?
Our house.
Whose streets?
Our streets.
Whose streets?
Our streets.
Whose streets?
Our streets.
We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the waters. We shall not be moved. In the filibuster. In the filibuster, we shall not be moved. In the filibuster, we shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the waters. We shall not be moved. Protect our voting rights. Protect our voting rights. We shall not be moved. Protect our voting rights. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the waters. We shall not be moved. Give us reparations. Give us reparations. We shall not be moved. Give us reparations.
Bipartisanship. Bipartisanship is not a free.
Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. This is what democracy looks like. This is what hypocrisy looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
You're gonna have to move back. Move back. You're gonna have to move
This
back.
is what
You need to
democracy
move back.
looks like.
No, back. That doesn't mean stand there.
This is what democracy looks like.
Come on, let's move back. Everybody's gotta move back.
No peace.
You have to be able to work.
No peace.
Go. Move back.
No peace.
I need you to move back.
No peace.
Back it up, Cody. Take it back.
No peace.
Back up, please.
No peace.
Get back in that.
No peace. No peace. No justice. No peace. No peace. No peace. Our streets. Our house. Our streets. Our house. Our streets.
Keep moving back. Keep moving back. I need you to move back.
Black lives, they matter here.
You need to go beyond this.
Black lives, they matter here.
All the fear behind you.
Black voters, they matter here.
Get behind the line for me. You're all in the police thing. You can't be over here. You got to be under that tape and over there on the other side of that yellow line for me. Because right now, these are where the prisoners are. So head on the other side for me.
Over here. Let's go right that line right there, please.
Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The filibuster has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The filibuster has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho!
The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Black voters, they matter here. 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 Black lives, 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 they matter here. Black voters, 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 they matter here. Black women, 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 they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Black voters, 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 they matter here. Let them go. Let them go. Let them go.
Okay, yeah.
Let them go. 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 Black lives, they matter here. 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 Black voters, 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 they matter here. Black trans, they matter here. Black trans, they matter here. Black trans, they matter here. I, they matter here. We have to be I believe. I believe. I believe we will win. I believe we will win. I believe that 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 we will win.
Hey, bro. Yes.
Come stand in front right there. I got to
Okay.
Hey, man, you don't do that in the protest.
Where we going?
You revolutionize.
Where we going?
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
Right
It is our duty to win.
We must love each other
Where?
and support each other.
We must love each other and support each other.
We have nothing to lose but our change.
We have nothing to lose but our change.
It is our duty to
That's
fight for our
who
freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love each other and support each other.
We must love each other and support each other.
We have nothing to lose but our change.
We have nothing to lose but our change.
We have nothing to lose but our change.
We have nothing to lose but our
We
change.
have nothing to lose but our change.
We have nothing to lose but our change.
So
Forward together.
one step back.
Forward together. One step back. Forward together. One step back. Forward together. One step back. Forward together. One step back. Forward together. One step back. Not 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 one step back. No. Not one step back. One step back.
No.
One step back. Not one step back. Forward together. Not one step back. Forward together. Not one step back.
Okay. So listen, do y'all need the money with us or do you want us to bring the money? Do you need the money with you?
No justice.
Do you need the money with you? Find out. Yes, yes. Give me money. Yes.
No voting rights. No voting rights. No peace. No voting rights. No peace. No voting rights. No peace. No voting rights. No peace.
Latasha.
Yeah.
You got money for everybody?
I got money. I got
we
money.
got you.
Will you get the money to them? Can I get the money?
Here's what we're going to do. I can't have you give it to them here. 119 D Street. That's our headquarters building around on the other side here. Once we're finished here, because we got time till the money goes out. Go around there and we will coordinate getting the money from you there to them.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem. Make things
See,
easy.
last week we had it with us.
Well,
we were worried.
We were worried. We scared. Okay.
See, now he's causing trouble.
No,
Getting
I know, like, don't say
no,
that.
I don't want no more trouble.
So 119, what is it?
119 D Street.
It's right around the
So,
corner.
and right around the corner. You know where it's at, right?
Yes, sir.
If you can help her get over there, please.
She was like,
We did it. Yeah. We'll be over there.
We'll go, I'm just kidding. We'll go over now. We're going to go over.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
Right. She's the only one. Black voters matter.
There any of the
Tasha, y'all got something up about
about it right now?
On Twitter. On Twitter. But we getting ready to post a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. Black Voters Matter Fund. Black Voters were MTR.
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
Well, they spoke, so we
Yeah, they spoke.
speak.
Not in this room.
Yes, ma'am.
Mark, you gotta have the cash. We're gonna meet you around there. Yeah, okay.
Let him go. Let him go. After you get processed.
Who? Okay. Listen, yeah.
Let them go after they get processed. We demand their freedom after they get processed.
Make it easy.
Perfect.
So you want to self-vote?
Thank you, sir. No problem. I appreciate it.
I'm right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we appreciate the spirit of y'all doing it, the way y'all do it. So thank you. Clear. When you get there, I need you to call. I need a picture, so I need you to call me. This is the sergeant that's gonna make sure me and you get him the money.
Okay.
I know, I got it.
Natasha?
Yeah.
They put me in the paddy wagon.
Hold on, hold on.
April?
Wait. Clear. I just need you to pause and quick so I can take
individuals in the way.
When you get to the paddy wagon, turn around and look at me. I'm trying to whisper. Thank you, brothers. Thank you, brothers.
Thank you, sister.
Thank you, brothers. Thank you for standing up. Hey, oh, can you get a picture on that angle so you get the phone?
Hey,
Go run.
Ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. The filibuster has got to go.
They're going to be processed.
Okay. They are. Okay. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
All right. All right.
He said, just keep doing what you're doing. You're good. Yep, no problem.
Keenan, go ahead and curl my feet. Yeah, right. My credentials real crazy. Yep. You don't even got to call though when it comes to if Roland ever get locked up, he should probably call me.